Wow, you're pretty quiet for.
Oh, we're on?
We're on, yeah.
You didn't even tell me that we're live.
You saw me click the button.
Not even. Well, the screen is kind of small, man. We gotta upgrade it to like a television.
If you want to pay for a television, be my guest.
Dude, television, low key, you can find a steal. My friend was telling me, well, he had like a 40, 50 inch TV.
He told me it at Costco.
No, he told me he got it at Goodwill, and he paid $20 for it, dude. That shit was big, bro.
Someone
for $20.
else's TV.
Yeah. Goodwill, man.
You heard it here first, folks. Get your new TV at new to you TV at Goodwill.
Mm-hmm. $20, man. That's a steal. So we're gonna go harder than last time, right, Mike? On this episode,
we're gonna be more informative than last time.
This is gonna be quicker than last time too.
Josh watched a Coach Greg video.
You'll be watching it too.
Of course. Coach Greg's the GOAT.
Mm-hmm. The GOAT.
Salute. Let's get into it.
Is he natty though?
Right now he is, right? I mean TRT, so no. It's a 0 or
I think
black and white. He's not natty.
I think he's been off for like 2 weeks, so he's probably natty now. It flushed out his system.
No, you're either natty or you're not. It's like your virginity.
He's practically
bro.
natty, dude.
It's like your virginity, bro. You either lost your virginity or you didn't.
Born again virgin, dude.
Yeah, that's still not how it works. You can't unstick your dick.
He's a born again natty.
There's no rewind button, bro.
He's a born again natty, dude. All right, we'll get into the episode now.
What's going on, everyone? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unracked Podcast. We're helping gym rats of all levels to enhance their fitness and other aspects of their lives through conversation and firsthand experiences. We're your hosts. I'm Mike Gersh.
And I'm Josh Angel.
In the last episode, we kicked off the series where we're taking a deeper dive into specific muscle groups. Last week, we talked about the many different muscles that make up the legs. Today, we want to take a look closely into shoulders and forearms and the muscles that make up each group. Like we said before, we're mainly going to share information about the makeup of each muscle and exercises that are targeting different parts of the muscle, as well as the compound lifts that are going to recruit multiple parts of the muscle at once. This is going to give you an understanding of any areas you're particularly strong or any areas that you may be lacking to help guide you on how to program yourself to work towards a symmetrical, well-rounded Mr. or Mrs. Olympia physique.
Oh, shit. It's coming up, too. Next month.
No, November.
Oh, November. Almost.
Yeah, so probably 11 weeks out.
I mean, this month is almost over, too, surprisingly.
It is like 10 or 11 weeks away.
Yeah, it's really
Something
close.
about
It's
that.
like right around the corner, dude.
We're
10
almost
weeks
there.
out, 2 days, 5 minutes. Yeah. But I think the shoulders is like the most important part of the physique. That and the lats. Of course, the legs too, but like you can get away.
You just named everything we've talked about. Well, the chest is pretty important as well.
Yeah, but you can kind of get away with, if you had big shoulders, it's gonna make your waist look small, even though it might not be small. You might be a little chubby.
Well, again, you want to be proportional.
Of course, yeah.
So you don't want to have ginormous shoulders and then like no chest, because you're just gonna look fucking weird. The purpose of developing each muscle equally is to look proportional, to look symmetrical. Because if you're lopsided, right? If you have an imbalance, like these are things
Like
you
the-
want to work around.
Like the right forearm is bigger than the left type of imbalance.
Hey, yo, why would that be a thing?
I was just wondering, dude. Like you're holding stuff, grip strength.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
like for me, when I deadlift, mixed grip.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
For sure. But again, like Josh said, this is the top of the hourglass, right? So there's a couple different parts of the shoulder that we're going to talk about today. So overall, by developing each part of the shoulder, this is where you're going to hear the phrase like boulder shoulders, right? Or like you have a globe, like it's like a spherical, almost like a basketball shape, right? Or like I've heard shoulder caps too, like referring to like a mushroom cap when you have like
When
all
you have
three.
that like V line kind of, right?
Yeah.
Separate to the biceps to the bottom of the shoulder.
Exactly.
Essentially.
And then my favorite part is like right here.
It's not gonna come up.
I can see it on the camera, bro. And it's not even that great of lighting. So right here, as I caress my deltoid, it's like the harp. It looks like a harp if you get it like shredded enough, like the Guinness logo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, just a couple of things that you can look out for as you start to like build muscle in your shoulders and you start to develop all three parts. So, for the shoulders themselves, this is a pretty common term, is the deltoid, shortened. Obviously, the delt
The shoulders.
is more common. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. The shoulders, guys.
So there's three different sections of the deltoid. So there's the anterior.
That's the front of the shoulder.
Yes, sir. The medial.
The side.
That's where you find the harp, is the side, the medial.
That's you get that wide look going too.
Yeah. And then the posterior.
That's the real depth. The back of the shoulder.
The back. So the rear delt. Very underutilized muscle group, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely small, one of the smaller ones, but it's definitely important to get that full look going on the shoulders too.
It really gives,
I hear it helps your posture too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also.
That and like lats both help your posture because it's like that general like pushing back area.
Yeah.
But I'd say we start with the rear delts just because it is such a small muscle group. One thing I will say about the rear delt, since it is such a small muscle, this isn't a muscle that you really need to like load up some weight for. You know what I mean? Like you don't need to overload. You probably need to do a weight that you can very easily control for like 15 to 20 slow grinding reps.
I mean, would you also say all these other exercises, like the side and the front, you don't really have to load it up? I mean, the only one you really have to load up
would be like the overhead press.
Yeah, that you can, load it up heavy, but you can get away with just doing more reps, and having a sick look.
I would say the difference and I agree with what you're saying to a certain point. So the main difference, I would say, take lateral raises, for example, right? Like we talked about, that's going to work the medial as opposed to the rear delt. When it comes to like rear delt flies, for example, I would program, again, 15 to 20, do a weight that you can control the entire time. It should be burning towards the end, but I wouldn't program that to failure. With something like lateral raises, for example, since it's a bigger muscle, it can handle more load, more intensity. That's something that I would program to an actually past failure, where if you either work with a gym buddy or you can actually just do partial reps on your own, that's something where if you just spam lateral raises, you're bound to build muscle on, again, in a controlled way, do the form correctly. I don't feel like I need to say that at this point, but if you take just that one little sound bite, spam lateral raises, then, But that's like the one small difference I would say between like the rear delt and the other two.
I feel like that one's the most important to go past failure because everybody wants that wide look going.
For the medial?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course, the back's important. Like you say, you don't have to really do that many reps because it's such a small muscle. But I mean, it doesn't pop like you. If you train this so hard, it's not gonna be pop up, that much still. So it's better. Well, I mean, most people are gonna want that wider look, so they want to hit the side more.
Yeah, and
the majority of people are gonna be like that.
I've never seen someone post, like a fitness influencer or anything, post on Instagram, be like,
"Oh yeah,
yo, look at this sick rear delt pump I got right now."
Yeah, exactly.
I just did so many reverse flies,
bro. I just hit 60 on the reverse flies.
Yo, reverse fly PR alert.
Yeah, exactly.
So, Yeah, I mean, rear delts really, rear delt flies. Like that's the main exercise that I would recommend. This is something there is a machine specifically for it, or you can do cables. Um,
I think cable. I feel the burn better on cables.
I agree 100%.
I feel it's harder for me to do the dumbbells. I like, like people say, they bend forward and they do a reverse fly with dumbbells. Like, dude, I've never gotten comfortable doing that.
Yeah, no, I would say I agree with you 100%. It's in order of my preference of where I feel the best tension. I would say the best is cable, second best would be the machine, and then the third best would be the dumbbell flies. Again, work with what you're given, right? Like I'm going on vacation in a couple weeks and I'm going to be at the mercy of a hotel gym. Are they going to have a cable machine? I'm not sure, but at the very least I know they have dumbbells, so I'll be able to do something. I know that. It's just what am I going to be able to do? And when I do the cables, I don't know if this is just a personal preference, or if it's like maybe because my arms are so long. I feel like I get a better tension and a better squeeze on my rear delts when I do the flies like high to low.
I've seen a few. I actually been doing a few variations like that because you feel it differently when you have, even if you have it like straight in front of you and then you move it up. Even though I'm shorter than you, I feel it like a different pump, dude. Like
Yeah.
I'm targeting it like the bottom of it. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm like
Well, no, no,
it's like coming from a different angle. You're targeting like a different type of muscle.
yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. It feels like you're targeting the lower part of it because I feel like when I do it level, I feel my traps in it a little bit more.
True.
Where maybe I accidentally discovered something without even realizing it. Not saying that, and this is going to be true for most exercises, but not saying that you can like completely take the traps out of the movement, but you're potentially just isolating lower since you're going high to low, and lower means more rear delt as opposed to trap. Where if you were going low to high, you would probably feel a lot more trap.
Yeah, I would say I agree with that. 'Cause I feel like more of my trap gets in the way when I do it just straight in front of me.
Yeah.
But I've done it high too, and that feels a lot better. It feels it feels awkward, but it feels a lot better of the pump.
Yeah, so again, it's one of those weights where I feel like I see a lot of Instagram videos of like the lateral raise on the cable, where it's like they have it on the 5 pound and they're like, oh, this is too easy. And then they go up to 10 pounds and they're like, oh, my shoulder.
Hmm.
I feel like that's the same idea as like the rear delt. Like I used to always do that where I was like, I was repping out like 20 and I was like, all right, like I'm going to go up. Like I'm feeling good. Like that was moving pretty well. I would go up to 30 and I would get like a struggle of 5. And I'm like, how does this make any sense? So that's where I like learned for myself that I didn't need to overload it because when I stopped, I actually noticed more growth when I was just doing the volume because it didn't need as much intensity. It just needed the volume. It needed the blood to get there. It needed to break down the muscle to rebuild it.
Yeah, that's happened to me too before. Like at LA Fitness is different too because some of it goes up by like 2 point,
Mm-hmm.
like it goes 10 and then like a 12.5, and even that like little difference can make a difference also. And
Yeah.
you're like, holy fuck, like this is heavy. But I think certain cables it is gonna be a lot tougher. I keep forgetting the name of it. The individual cable where you can actually adjust like the width of it and the height. That one's the best one to do that reverse.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, because you'll just be able to get more specific to your range of motion.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you saying the cable is the best, and then the machine second, and then the dumbbells last.
I just
And it's like what you said too, what you can work with. Like, yeah, if you only have dumbbells, you have to do the flies. Like you're stuck with nothing else.
yeah, and for me, I would say in that regard, it's more just like actually feeling the tension, right? Because no matter what, when you're doing the actual exercise, when you're pushing your arms outward, you're going to feel the tension, hopefully where you should be feeling it. But the difference to me is on the cables, I feel it even on the negative, right? So I try to control the negative so there's still tension on my rear delts, where the machine I feel a little bit less, but since it's a machine, since it's guided, it's like the weight is dropping, right? So it's just guiding itself back, and I'm guiding it slower, if that makes sense. With the dumbbells, I don't really feel the tension on the way down at
No,
all.
I agree with that too. I feel the tension less on the machine, and you can do a lot of weight. You can put like 100 on there, and you still won't feel the same tension you would on a cable and doing like 20 pounds on
Yeah.
there. Like it's a big difference for sure.
So
Yeah.
Josh and I both agree. If
For
you're
once.
doing rear delt fly, we've agreed a couple times. If you're doing rear delt flies, cables seem to be the best way to keep the tension on it. And then for the medial head, again, this is where you get that Guinness logo, that harp, lateral raises.
Mm-hmm. I should do more of it, but the cable one is pretty good. It's kind of hard to find a good spot though too, doing lateral races on there. But definitely what Mike was saying earlier about like repping that one to failure, like that one's you have to rep it to failure and do drop sets too
Yeah.
for sure. The nice one, I kind of like the machine. How do you feel about the machine? Like it was different too because commercial gyms have like a shitty like half rep.
Yeah, the thing you like.
It you know what
It's like you put the pad on your elbow and push it. I don't like that one. I like the one at Zoo where you hold the thing.
It's wider. Yeah.
But the only thing I would say, I wouldn't do that as my primary lateral raise. If it's between that and dumbbells, I would rather do dumbbells. And I'm not personally, again, me being powerlifting, probably the audience we're talking to, again, unless you're a super advanced bodybuilder, there's most likely no need for you to do dumbbells and then go do the machine.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're like a super advanced bodybuilder or you're just a sick cunt and you want fucking crazy medial delts.
Well, yeah, definitely pick one, but I done the machine. I like the machine one when I feel kind of lazy and I just want like a quick pump because it's quicker too. It's just like
Yeah.
like you just put the pin in way quicker. You could do a drop set way faster than getting the dumbbells. So that's the only time I like using the machine one. But especially the commercial ones, those are ass, dude.
Yeah.
Like those are really bad.
Well, I would say the machine is probably better for drop sets, and then I would say the dumbbells are probably better for partial reps.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's all really going to come down to what you have access to. Like Josh said, the lateral raise machine that we're talking about, you'll probably find at a more private gym, probably not going to see at a commercial gym. So in that case, obviously, just go with the dumbbells. And then same idea with the cables. One thing Josh said about the cables that I want to touch upon, it's hard to find the setup. I completely agree with that. So I saw something online from a reputable Instagram account, not just a garbage influencer. Essentially, when you set up the cable, and my arm is too long, I'm not going to be able to do it in the frame. You want to set up the cable to where if my arm is by my side, I should be able to just hold the cable perfectly right there. So like it shouldn't be like on the ground. You see what I'm saying? Because when it's right here, as soon as I start going, boom, there's tension right there. Where when it's down here, it's going to be tension on the shoulder joint and then the tension on the medial.
So you're telling them to have it a little higher depending on their height? Okay.
Yeah,
not all the way on the ground.
Not directly on the ground. Have the D handle literally in the palm of your hand where you can have it with no tension on it. And then get yourself into a position like if it's in your left hand, like take that one step to the left where you're like, okay, now I feel tension. And then from there, as soon as you move it, that's when you feel the tension on the medial deltoid, which is obviously the muscle you're trying to work.
Do you lean to the side or you just do it straight up? Because I like to lean. I like to hold something. That's where it gets hard for me too because I try to find something where I can hold it and then I can lean to the side of whichever arm I'm doing.
Yeah, no, I would typically lean and hold on to something. I kind of
Cause I see
just,
people do it standing up, and I don't know. That feels like kind of weird to me.
well, I just never felt like stable enough in my stance because
Yeah,
if you're
yeah,
gonna do it that way, then you have to have your legs like wicked spread,
yeah. That's true too.
and like you don't want someone like coming up behind you.
Hey yo, bro.
No, yeah, so I definitely prefer to lean. I will say I did kind of just accept the fact that you're gonna have to hold on to like the part that you adjust the cable, even though it is kind of fucking greasy and gross. Just
Yeah.
I would just wash my hands after.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're
What
a,
else are you gonna hold on to?
yeah, no, yeah, definitely, you have to do it. But if you're at a commercial gym, I mean, those handles are already pretty dirty too.
Yeah.
Let
So I
alone,
mean, if you're not already washing your hands as it is,
yeah, definitely don't be touching your face when you're at the gym, and especially the commercial gym.
this is a fitness podcast, not a hygiene podcast.
Hey.
Wash your fucking hands.
Yeah. So,
All right,
I'm thinking
and then
there's something else for that side.
for the medial.
Yeah. That's
There,
it,
you
right?
said there's something, or there's
no,
nothing?
there's nothing else, right?
No, I mean that's really it. To like target it specifically. So then the only other one is the anterior.
The front, baby.
The front, of course. So after the anterior, there's one exercise I want to talk about. But what would you do to work the front delt?
To be honest, there's a lot of you almost don't really need to train it that hard because if you're doing a shoulder press and you have your arms kind of forward, you're working it out too. Your
Yeah.
front, and then also I like to do Arnold sometimes, Arnold presses, and those automatically that's your front delt, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like I know some people when they do the shoulder press, they put their arms like way more out, and then you won't be targeting your front, and then that's when you might have to do some front lateral raises. But I don't like doing the dumbbells that much. I actually like holding a plate and doing it like that. It feels a lot better for my shoulders, and doing a front delt, front
I'm
front
gonna
raise.
I'm gonna clip what you just did and remove the audio because it looked super sus.
Oh yeah, like this.
No, but I agree with everything you're saying. So obviously, I made a comment saying there's an exercise I want to talk about, and then Josh must have read my mind because he talked about it. So to specific the front delt, to isolate the front delt, yes, front raises. Again, similar idea. You can load it up more than the rear delt, but you're not really going to be doing something where you're doing like living in like the 3 to 5 rep range. I would say 6, like 6 to 8 is the least amount of reps you should be doing for that. And for me, I know I've talked about this before. I wear wrist wraps for a lot of exercises, not this one, but it's because I had a lot of wrist pain from when I first started working out, when I was working out incorrectly. What I started to do, instead of doing the front raise with my palms down, because that would give me wrist pain when I would start to add a little more weight, I just started to do a neutral grip. So like my palms were facing inward, and I felt like I was still, it didn't affect targeting the front delt at all, but it did make it a lot easier on my wrists for doing that forward, not swinging motion, but forward raising motion.
I haven't done that in a while. I know what workout you're talking about, but I think I stopped doing it because my wrist was actually hurting from doing it. And I don't know how, but it was uncomfortable for me for a while. So I feel better when I just do Arnold's instead, or I just do a slight forward lean. Because are you talking? Because I was doing it like this before, which was
I'm
like
talking
over.
about front raises.
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah. So front raises. I actually like having my hands like up, like I'm gonna punch somebody.
No, I mean that's something I'm
That's
only
you,
giving
yeah.
my like anecdotal experience on
Yeah,
that as someone who has had wrist pain in the past, felt wrist pain doing that exercise, switched to the neutral grip, and seems to have fixed that issue in that exercise specifically. So again, that worked for me. If you're someone who notices wrist pain when you do it with your palms facing down, then do that. generally, again, like Josh is saying, you're going to see most people doing that exercise with the palms down. I just personally didn't find any difference in the tension. So the only difference for me was the wrist pain. So
For sure. At least you find out.
yeah, I mean,
And
I was having an issue. It hurt, so I figured out how to still do it without pain.
mhm.
Um, so the exercise I wanted to talk about is the overhead press. And the reason I wanted to save that for the end, so you're right. When you do the Arnold press and you bring the dumbbell in front of you, you're gonna get a lot of the front delt in there. I want to talk about the overhead press specifically. So this can be done dumbbell or barbell. With the barbell, it's the military
Machine
press.
too.
Yeah, there's the machine too, but yeah, there's the machine too. Uh,
Don't forget the machine.
but the reason that I want to bring this one up at the end is because even with a dumbbell, it's a compound lift.
Yeah.
So you're gonna be recruiting muscle fibers from all three parts of the delt, and then like Josh said, this is one of those exercises that can be easily varied, just depending on where you're actually pushing from. So if you're pushing with the weight more in front of you, you're not going to completely isolate the front delt, but you're going to work more front delt. If you have the weight parallel to you, it's going to be more medial, the side. So again, that variation is going to determine what muscle is firing the most.
Yeah, and the sweet part is you could do both too. Honestly, because I do both, and then I finish. I like to finish off depending on how much energy I have with some Arnolds, like lightweight for sure. Like that one I go light.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, that one you have to. It's kind of scary going heavy and then bringing the weight forward. Like, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, it's not one that you really need to do with rep of like heavy 3 to 5.
Yeah, and
Like you're probably burning out.
yeah, I definitely recommend just either between the barbell or the dumbbell, just do whatever is more comfortable and you feel more safe. Because I've talked to some few people, they say they feel better with the barbell, but they feel they feel like they're gonna hurt themselves doing the dumbbells. But I'm the opposite. I like doing the dumbbells more than the barbell. Like the barbell is just like not it for me.
See, for me, the barbell depends on the
rack.
the company that makes the rack. So we've excuse me. We've obviously, since we've known each other, have been to a handful of different gyms, and I've even found that like LA Fitness to LA Fitness, like 3 different locations had 3 different military press racks, right? Gold's has a different one. Zoo has a different one. So it's the kind of thing. I really liked the one at LA Fitness Sepulveda. I really did not like the one at Gold's. The one at Gold's, you had to unrack where it was like behind you like that. So as soon as I put anything over 25 pounds on each side, I needed a lift off.
But let's say you had the perfect rack, dude. Fits you, how you want it, everything perfect. Which one would you pick, dumbbells or barbell? Perfect rack.
It
Golden lock rack.
Goldilocks rack. I would say it depends what I'm working towards in that exact moment. If I'm trying to build up, like if I'm trying to bulk and like build muscle, I would say the military press with the bar, just because being a more of a compound movement, you're gonna recruit more muscle fibers. Where with the dumbbells, you're able to kind of isolate a little more, because with the barbell, you're only really going to be able to push it from in front of you. With the dumbbells, like we talked about, you have that flexibility in your range of motion. So it just depends what phase you're in. So if I'm cutting, if I'm really trying to isolate a certain part of my delt, that's when I would do the dumbbell. So I'm going to give you the famous answer. Do you know what I'm going to say? It depends.
I didn't want you to say it, but yeah, I knew what you were going to say.
Josh just shook his head in disappointment.
Yeah. I would say the only reason the rack's kind of nice is it's like the lazy way because it's already up above you, and then the doubles you have to pick that shit up unless you have
Yeah.
somebody with you, and it's a hassle. Honestly, I get annoyed too myself. Like, oh fuck, I have to pick up these like 70-pound dumbbells myself and like toss them up. But when you're doing
What's the most you ever dumbbell pressed?
the 80s,
Nice.
yeah, the 80s. But yeah, definitely would be sick to do the 90s and then the hundreds. Shit, I gotta go in the book for that.
Yeah.
I gotta have some cars for that.
I got the 85s for like a pretty struggle of like 3.
Yeah, I know it's tough, and then you have to definitely for like that kind of way. You need somebody to help you unless you're some Hulk.
Oh,
kinda like
100%, 100%.
Yeah, and to save energy too. But yeah, but the military press you could just stop, put up like 40s on there, and it's already above you, so you can just start repping it.
And that's one thing I want to try the one at Zoo because I've never seen
I never
another
tried that
one
one,
like
yeah.
that where it's kind of hard to describe, but it's like the weight starts behind you,
But you can move it forward.
But the rack
Yeah.
moves. So with it behind you, you push the weight forward to where like I would feel uncomfortable unracking it right here. When I unrack the weight, the rack itself moves backwards. So now it's out of the way. And so I'm already in the position where I want to actually just do my rep.
Have you tried it?
No, I'm gonna try it in the next couple weeks because I'm
No, but
gonna
I
be
see.
on, like,
Yeah, yeah.
half
I know what you're
program.
talking about though, because I've seen people use it, and I see it in myself also. I seen Brad use it. He was like doing 260 on there, I think.
just overhead pressing his own body weight.
Yeah.
No, but that was something that, like I mentioned, I prefer the military press when I'm bulking. As most people know, I was bulking the majority of my gym career. So that was something that I would always gravitate to the military press. And it was something that I would complain about pretty consistently because before we started going to Zoo and I work at the job I'm at now, my schedule was pretty sporadic. So I was at like different gyms all the time, and my routine was getting like thrown upside down. So it was like shoulder day would always end up being at a different gym, and so I would be at the mercy of whatever gym I was at. Where if I was doing shoulder at Golds, for example, I hated that military press, so I wouldn't even do it. I would just do the dumbbells because that's how much I didn't like it.
Yeah. All depends, dude.
So again, it all comes down to the accessibility.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about the next best part though.
Well, we're good for delts, right?
Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
So
this is the best part right here.
this is something.
This is the lady killer right here.
This is something that I find this muscle hilarious because, for whatever reason, it's the traps.
You make a sick face though when you do it.
It's the trapezius, right?
Yeah.
So I find this muscle group hilarious because, for whatever reason, my CNS, like no matter what I do, it recruits muscle fibers to my traps, and my traps grow. So I always make a joke that I could do calf raises, and my traps would grow.
Mm-hmm.
Like it makes absolutely no sense how I feel like no matter what I do, my traps grow. And it sounds like I'm complaining. I'm really not, because traps are like very relevant in the deadlift. So I attribute a lot of my traps to my deadlift because I have a pretty solid deadlift for my weight.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that.
I pulled for third, bro.
Pull for third. I would say a lot of muscle groups or a lot of workouts do evolve the traps for sure.
Yeah.
A majority.
And I feel like a lot of people try to feed you some bullshit on Instagram and TikTok saying, oh, I know a big one is like the lateral raise. You're not going to be able to take your trap out of the lateral raise. It doesn't target the lateral. I mean, it doesn't target the trap, but you're still going to use your trap to lift the weight to the side. So a lot of people on social media say, oh, do the lateral raise this way and you'll completely take your trap out. No, you're never going to completely take your trap out of the exercise.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, I'm very passionate about that.
You're passionate about the traps, dude? You really want the shoulder pads.
Well, I've always just had, I've always deadlifted mixed grip. So I've had a trap and lat imbalance.
Yeah.
For,
I mean,
for as long as I know.
majority of people do. I have one too, for sure. But I feel my traps being used a lot, especially the bad side or the good side, I guess. So,
What, the one that's bigger?
yeah. I
Yeah,
would say that's the
obviously
big
you're
side.
gonna feel the bigger one more.
Yeah.
Because you're just naturally using it more, and that's why it's naturally bigger.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So, but uh, the traps are like it's the easiest muscle to work out, and then no matter what, even if you don't want to work them out, because I talked to like a few girls and like, oh, I don't want to work out my traps, but like whatever you do, other workouts you do, it's gonna work it out. So like you're
Yeah.
gonna get traps no matter what.
I'm
It
trying
just
to
depends.
not have a neck, bro.
Yeah, it just
I want
depends
my
how.
traps touching my earlobes.
Yeah, it just depends how big you want them, right? You want to like.
Just not have a neck, bro.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. So the number one movement to like specifically target the traps is gonna be the shrugs.
Ooh.
And you're just record yourself doing a set of heavy shrugs and just screenshot your face.
You look like a Greek god.
I mean, you're gonna be making a funny face.
Mhm.
But the traps are crucial to have an overall well-rounded aesthetic, because what I picture is like, imagine having like Cap, like Death Star boulder shoulders, and then it's just a straight line from your delt to your neck. Like that would look ridiculous. Like you need that, like almost like a little hill.
Yeah, you definitely need some hill, and then you need some strap if you want to build a good physique, definitely. And depending if you have a long neck, it's gonna really look weird. You need the traps,
Yo, talk to me about that neck game.
that long neck. So
Giraffe looking motherfucker or some shit, huh? It's the opposite of what I was doing before.
yeah, you got the alien neck.
So obviously with shrugs, right? One thing, and this is something I know I've referenced this guy before, but something an IFBB Pro showed me. A lot of people, and now granted, this isn't a wrong way of doing it, but a lot of people shrug just straight down to straight up, right? What this IFBB Pro showed me is if you lean a little bit forward and you're still pretty much going straight down to straight up, but you're almost like pinching your shoulder blades back as you do it. And that just, instead of just working the top of the trap by the first way you do it. So again, straight down to straight up isn't wrong. It's just leaning forward a little bit and pinching the shoulder blades works more of the overall trap.
Yeah, because the majority of the trap is like in the back, and
Exactly.
in the front, it's like it's a smaller muscle.
Exactly, where the majority of the people we're talking to don't need to isolate the top trap. They just need to overall work their trap.
Yeah, and then even if you're doing the lean forward, you're still working out the front. Like you never, like you said earlier, you're not gonna take out everything, even if you lean way forward.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I would compare it more. It would be a similar idea to like the overhead press targets all three parts of the delt, but if you do the Arnold press, it's all three parts, but it's more the front. Whereas if you do shrugs and you lean forward, it's all three parts, but if you're not leaned forward and you're just straight up and down, it's still most of it, but it's more of the top.
Yeah.
So same but different.
Yeah, definitely. Still, do what Mike said. Lean forward. The majority of the muscles there. It looks way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a little hack that most people you see doing it are just going to be standing straight up.
And the little shrug.
And then, I mean, other than shrugs, I would say there's only two really other exercises that like would directly target the traps. So one is going to be face pulls. So this is something that, do it on cables, obviously. You can either use like the tricep rope or the Vulcan, whatever you feel comfortable pulling. One thing I always recommend, pull it to your forehead.
Yeah.
And then this is something too that, depending on the angle of the tension, it's gonna be more trap versus more rear delt.
A good tip that I heard about doing it is like you want to try to do like a front double bicep, like pose, and that's how you want to bring it up.
I've never heard that, but I see how that
Like,
would.
you're getting like a front double pose right there, baby.
No, yeah, and as you do it, I mean, I didn't need to see you do it, but that's
You
a
need
very
to
good
see-
tip.
You need to see the peaks.
I didn't need to. I wanted to.
Yeah.
Um, but again, that's something for the front double bicep. That would probably be a little bit more of like a low to high, right? And I feel like low to high in this scenario is probably going to be more trap. Where if you go high to low, similar to the cables we were talking about with the reverse fly, I feel like high to low would probably be a little more rear delt. But it's still the kind of thing where you're not going to be able to only work one. You're going to work both. It's just the angle of the tension is going to determine which one is recruiting more muscle fibers.
Yeah, exactly.
The only other exercise is the upright row. So this is something that you can actually do in a couple different ways. So it's the one, you have the weight in front of you, typically a barbell. I've tried it with dumbbells. It's fucking stupid. Just use
it's
a
weird.
barbell. What I always recommend is think about it like any pull exercise, right? Where you want you want to kind of hook your four fingers around it, and then wherever you feel more comfortable with your thumb. If you keep it on the front side, great. If you want to have it like hooked around, that's great too. But you just want to take like your thumb off the tension, because using your thumb to grip and pull is going to use more forearm. Where if you're able to use less forearm, then you're going to be able to isolate more trap. And then as you pull it up, you pause at the top right here, and I guarantee you're going to feel it right on like the upper trap. And then again, similar idea, the more you lean forward, the more you pinch your shoulders, the more overall trap and upper back you're going to work. This is one.
I would say this is like the bottom of the barrel though for like shrug workouts.
This is, well, in my opinion, I feel like I was able to shrug a lot, so it took a while for me to work up to my max, and I was probably already doing like military press or something like that took a while to work up to my max. So I actually worked upright rows a lot.
In between?
No,
Or-
instead.
Oh, okay.
So I would do like an overhead press, and then I would do the upright row as my second movement before I got into like front or lateral raises. The reason being, I feel like it's very versatile in the sense that similar to shrugs, you can handle a heavier load. So this was something that I could do volume, I could do drop sets, but then I could also do heavy sets, and I could still do partials. So it was the kind of thing that it didn't matter what phase I was in. It really was a staple for me as a trap workout. But you're 100% correct. So we go to the gym in the morning, right? I have to start work at some time. If I just had all day to be at the gym and work out, 100% I would shrug. There's no doubt about that. I would 10 times out of 10 put a shrug over an upright row when it comes to trap development. Don't get me wrong at all. I'm just saying, for me personally, time restriction wise, that's how I was able to still work my traps without having to work up to, bro, I'm not joking, I was like 160 pounds and I was shrugging like 365.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you were doing it on the barbell.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
okay.
3 plates and a 25, and I was like repping it and holding it. Like they were
Okay.
good reps. Like I wasn't like just fucking jerking the thing around.
You weren't jerking it around?
No, I said I wasn't jerking it around.
Okay. Just want to make sure the audience heard that.
So again, traps, shrugs.
For sure. And then, yeah, it just depends what everybody wants to do too. Depending on if they want to do dumbbells or the barbell. But
For-
barbell,
for
you for
shrugs,
sure
yeah,
knee
for
wraps,
shrugs,
for
yeah.
sure. Knee wraps for the barbell.
For the dumbbells too.
Yeah,
'Cause
you could do wraps,
dumbbells,
yeah.
bro. I was doing easily over 100s in each hand.
But the thing is, you can't, you're doing 100s on each hand, but like you can't go up to 300 on there unless you
No,
have.
that's why I would rather do the barbell.
Yeah, but like I'm just saying, barbell, you definitely need the wraps more because you can load it up more. Like you can get away with like doing less. Well, most gyms don't have it. yeah, the majority of gyms have 100 dumbbells, of course, and but I mean, you can have the 80s there too, 70s that you can just
I would still use
yeah.
straps for that though. I'm not trying to work my grip, so I don't want my grip to fail when it's my traps I'm trying to work.
Yeah.
It's a similar idea to any pull exercise. You want your naturally grip is going to give out before your lats, like we talked about. So it's the same idea with
Unless
the
you
shrug.
got that gorilla grip.
Hey, yo, that liquid chalk.
Mhm.
All right, so I mean, delts and traps. Anything else for shoulders?
Nah, man, we went in.
We went in.
Yeah.
Um,
Not much to talk about too.
yeah, I mean it's a
This
pretty.
one we're gonna talk about a lot though. The forearm. A lot of muscle groups in there, dude. Like 20 maybe.
I know people that work out their forearm like 3-4 times a day.
Yeah. I mean, I know some
Probably
people.
overtraining though.
If you don't know, if you're overtraining until you do it, bro. You gotta push the limits. I mean, who's gonna carry the logs, dude?
I would say, other than traps, I would say forearms are probably the most common imbalance.
Yeah, for sure. Some people are just lucky, it's like the calf.
I feel like I've said this before. Maybe not, so I'll say it again. I feel like you can easily tell how far along someone is in their gym career strictly by their forearms. Calves, some people are just genetically gifted with ginormous calves, and I hate every single one of them with a passion.
Mm-hmm.
Forearms.
Can you see that with forearms though too? Some people have genetically gifted big forearms, even though it's like just fat too.
Yeah, but then I can look at the rest of you and be like, eh.
But you can do that with calves too. Like they got big calves, but
No, but I didn't say calves are a tell.
Okay.
I would never look at someone's calves and be like, oh, they lift.
They might lift chicks though.
Okay. I don't know what you mean. But I'm just saying, I feel like you can have big forearms, but there's a lot of burly ass dudes who do like manual labor, right? And they may not have like a big chest, or they're just like overall mass, but then you look and their fucking forearms are just shredded as shit. Because they're just constantly using their grip to like do whatever it is they need to do. So that's all I'm saying is like the majority of exercises that people do, even think of something as simple as like you're on the leg press or you're on the leg extension, you're gripping those handles as hard as you can. Granted, it's not that much tension, it's not that intense, but it's still getting blood to your forearm. So you work your forearms a lot more secondarily than you probably realize you do. So that's my point is like, if there's just some nerd who sits at a computer all day compared to someone who works out or compared to someone who does manual labor, those are going to be night and day differences when you see their forearms. That's all I'm saying about that.
Okay. So if you see someone with forearms, they're a pencil pusher.
I mean, if you're that skinny, and I can say this because I was someone who was that skinny. If you saw my forearms before, I'm not saying I have big fucking ginormous forearms, but I know like right around here you can see it like get shredded when I flex, and like you can see all the fucking tendons moving around and stuff. Before I started working out, I didn't have that at all. Like at all. Like there was no fucking meat on the bone.
I get what you're saying though. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was my rant about being able to tell if someone works out or not. So realistically for the forearm, there's going to be two main parts. I don't really hear many people toss around like the scientific name for the forearm itself, but the first one is going to be the wrist flexor.
It's gonna be the top of their forearm, right?
No, it's the underside.
Oh, it's the underside. Okay.
Yeah, so it's like this.
It's where your palms are like facing up. Then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
here, and then the wrist extensor.
And that's when
that's like
when your knuckles are on top.
yeah, this right up here. Um, so there's a few different ways to actually target the forearms. Just in the idea of having the top and bottom. So the underside, right, like this right here, with your palm facing up. I realize that some people might be listening to the podcast.
I know,
and not
that's
watching the video.
Yeah.
With your palm facing up, any real like wrist curling movement. So this is something I had written down dumbbell, but Josh and I talked before the episode. You can easily do a dumbbell or a barbell. Dumbbell, you'll typically have it in front of you. I would recommend leaning your arm like on your leg.
Yeah, definitely.
And then have your wrist like just past your knee.
I think the barbell is better for people that have wrist problems because these workouts, some like the dumbbells, can definitely hurt your wrist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So like having the barbell might be a little bit better for people's wrists because
For sure.
Yeah.
And I recommend if you do the barbell, do it behind you.
Yeah.
So like the barbell should be on like your hamstrings, and then you obviously move it back a little bit, and then you start.
You know what I've done at certain gyms actually is
Damn, my forearm veins are popping right now. What'd you notice? Sorry.
I can only do it at a few gyms, but I've done the reverse, what we're saying right now with the barbell, but I've done it on the cable.
Yeah.
But you can only do that if, the gym's low, the cable thing's low enough, but the tension is pretty nice, dude.
And that's another one of those things where you'll keep the tension on the forearm the whole time. And one of the good things about the cable in this regard too,
you can load it up too as much as you want.
You can definitely load it up. Not all gyms will have like the easy bar, like the curl bar, where it's like kind of the W looking bar. Some of them will only have the straight bar, but they'll have that cable attachment that kind of looks like that. So this is another one of those things where, depending on how close or wide your grip is, you'll still overall work your forearm, but you'll be able to target inner or outer a little more based on, again, how wide or close your grip is.
Honestly, for me, I can't do it the easy. I like this. It's probably just me for sure, but I just like doing the straight bar. I can't do it on the easy bar.
Yeah.
Even without the cable, like just doing a regular, barbell free weight, I can't do it on that. I just like it straight.
I feel the most comfortable doing it where
you do the easy bar?
Yeah. But I do it where it's like slanted up. So my hands are almost, but they're like slightly in. So my hands are at like a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
So I like to do it where my elbows are literally touching my side and my hands are just straight forward, and wherever that is, that's where I grip the bar.
Are we talking about reverse curls? Because reverse curls, I do the easy bar. I thought we were talking about like wrist flexors.
Oh no, I'm talking about reverse curls.
Oh,
the wrist curl, just do a straight bar. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do easy bar for that.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm talking about reverse curls.
Gotcha.
I just keep my elbows at my side, and just straight up and down from there, wherever my hands.
Because now I gotta take back what I said, because now on the reverse curls, I can't do the straight bar. I have to do the the easy bar. That's why I was like, wait. Because if you're talking about the wrist flexors,
changing teams.
Yeah. That when I do the straight bar, but the reverse curls, I have to do an easy bar. That thing's uncomfortable with a straight bar.
For sure. It again, it's all personal preference, but
True. Yeah. And it depends on your grip strength. I feel like it takes way more grip strength to do the straight bar.
Yeah,
it's a lot tougher.
Because you're really only like holding onto it with like your 4 fingers hooked. Like your thumb isn't really in it at all when you're doing it that way.
I think it's better, right, not to have your thumb involved. Like you want to have it like.
Yeah. No, that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah. Okay.
So again, wrist curls, reverse curls, those are going to be the 2 main ways to like specifically target it.
Yeah. Reverse curls, you get a double rhyming. You're working out the bicep too.
Hey yo.
You're working out the thigh gap. Remember?
The thigh gap, the brachialis.
Yeah.
So then, other than that, realistically, the only other way to work out the forearm, I would say would be any like grip strength exercise. There's a couple different ones. I didn't know that it was called this, but like those little like grips that you just squeeze like that. I guess it's called a captains of crush.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of that?
No, I haven't heard that name, but I know the device you're talking about. I mean, that one's
Yeah.
like universal.
So we both knew the thing. I just never heard of
You
it
know what I
called
heard?
the captains of
Heard
crush.
that it's not good. Have you seen like that? It's like a trend too on like TikTok. Have you seen the one that looks like the Spider-Man glove, where they have it like all your fingers and is like supposed to have resistance back here, and you do this like a Spider-Man. And it's
I
connected to your
haven't
finger.
seen that, but I can see why it would be bad.
Yeah, because they were advertising like it like crazy, like oh revolutionary, forearm grip strength, but then people were saying like oh no, like
It
it's
probably like
not
fucks
gonna
up your
work.
knuckles.
Probably, but
Like
I also
there's probably more tension on your knuckle than your actual like hand and palm.
yeah, I can see that. But
That's
then,
why the other one being like just the two things that you push into each other, like
yeah,
because this like your palm is where most of your grip strength is.
yeah.
So it's like how would something external on the top of your hand be able to not just
I get what you
put
mean.
all the tension on your knuckles?
Yeah, but I also heard that device too. It had like no resistance. It was like a freaking like rubber thing, like the captain, captain of.
I want to call it
gripper.
Captain Crunch, bro.
Yeah. I was about to say that too. That one's like a hard device, bro. Like that's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something you can really do it anywhere. Like I know people like at the office I used to work at, people just had it at their desk and they would just do it all day.
Yeah. I need to actually. I've been wanting to buy one too because they have different strength levels too, like 20 pound, 50 pound, 100 pounds. So
Yeah.
you can just keep upgrading your strength like that.
It's good for like ADHD too. Like I used it a couple times, but then I realized like my forearms were just getting super sore.
I feel like the problem too
it
is
was
like
affecting my workouts.
isn't the problem too like you might lose track of like how much time you do in one hand
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
then like
Well, because especially for me, like I was at a desk and so I had a keyboard, I had a mouse, and I would do it when I was on the phone. So I work in sales, I would be on the phone a lot. I wouldn't keep track of how long I was doing it in one hand, and then like I would start doing something, I would start typing, and I would put it down, and then I would just pick it back up with the same hand.
yeah.
And I'm like if I was only doing it on the left, I would never end up doing it on the right. And so, like you said, it was something that I never like kept track of how much I was doing it
Yeah.
on either side.
Maybe someone can just do it well because I've been debating about doing it like when I drive, but I feel like I'll get distracted too, or it might be better to do it when you watch TV, right? That's probably like the best choice,
Yeah, maybe, but
but still you
um,
have to keep track. Yeah.
there's plenty of other like grip strength exercises. Like I know farmers walks are gonna be a big one.
I think those are almost like top tier because that works your whole forearm too.
Oh yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that works.
Everything.
Forearms, your delts are firing,
Grip
your
strength.
traps are in there, grips.
Yeah.
Your CNS just overall is going to be working pretty hard for that, just because you're also like keeping yourself stable with every step. So it's like you're working a lot more than you would probably think you would. I would say a couple other grip strength exercises. Deadlift, just because you're literally gripping the bar. A big one too that I feel like a lot of people overlook for grip. They may do it for like spinal decompression is a dead hang.
Oh yeah. Honestly, I don't really feel a forearm grip on pump on that. But then I also lose my. I need to have chalk on it too. To
But
really
you
keep
also
it going,
don't.
Too.
You don't really need to get like a. This is one of those muscles you don't really need to get like a crazy pump.
Well, I don't.
Like
I mean,
forearms, yeah, but grip not as much.
well, the thing is, I don't feel like that I'm training it hard. Like cause the pump, when you feel like the tension and all that stuff, you're like, oh, okay, I'm for sure training it.
Yeah, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Grip strength is mostly in your hand. You're not gonna get a bunch of blood into your hand and
Yeah.
be like, oh, I have a pump right now.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of the exercises that you're working grip, you really don't like feel like you are. Like when you do a deadlift, do you feel blood rush to your hands?
No,
No, but you're
No.
working your grip. That's my point.
I feel like I never work my grip on there too.
Well, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying is you should if you feel like you're working your grip, then you're doing too much.
Shit, you don't know when you're doing too much, till you push the limits.
The only see,
You know what that's also kind of underrated too is like doing walking lunges because you're working on your grip too.
yeah, walking lunges too. I would
And
say
forearm
like
also. That's like a farmer's walk ish.
exactly, yeah. So a lot of the stuff that you're doing, you're not even realizing that you're working
Yeah.
your grip.
Walking lunges are brutal.
Grip strength. Anything else?
Nah, man. I mean, well, there's not much to say.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, a lot of the times you're just indirectly working it. Um, yeah, so
Mhm.
with that, I know that was a pretty deep dive into like the shoulders and the forearms. Next week we're going to go over more like core, abs, that area of the body where we power lifters
Don't do.
just ignore.
Mhm.
Power comes from the belly, but we'll take a deeper dive into that into the next episode. But anything else before we move on?
No, that's it. But yeah, yeah.
Did we have anything for this?
Uh, no, not really.
Okay. We are kind of on a little bit of a time crunch this week, so we're going to skip our normal segment of the sick cunt of the week. I feel like we covered a lot of information, and we're only at an hour right now. So I think that
Perfect.
this is a perfect time to wrap it up. So thanks as always for tuning in. As you know by now, going to be dropping new episodes every Thursday morning on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. As I say every week, it seems like Spotify is the most popular platform. Apple Podcast, close number 2. Make sure to like, comment, follow, subscribe. However you're watching or listening, we appreciate your support. I'm Mike.
And I'm Josh.
Make sure to keep making those sweet gains. Keep living life unracked, baby. Let's go!
And like the fucking video.